You ever notice how some older men walk into a room and suddenly the energy changes? They don't try to impress anyone. They don't chase. Yet everyone seems drawn to them. It's not about hairlines, muscles, or money. It's something deeper, something psychological, the kind of quiet power that only comes with experience. Women sense it instantly. Younger men envy it without understanding why. This is what psychologists call mature masculine appeal, the rare blend of calm, confidence, and mystery that makes age your greatest advantage. Today, we're breaking down 7 proven signs that you're not just aging, you're becoming dangerously attractive. 1, you radiate calm, confidence, the silent power that commands respect. One of the clearest signs that you've become a highly attractive older man is your unshakable calm. You're not easily impressed, offended, or thrown off balance anymore. That quiet stillness in your demeanor, the way you listen before speaking, the way your eyes don't dart around nervously, the way your body language stays grounded and deliberate, it all sends one powerful signal: control. And control, in psychology, is one of the strongest indicators of dominance and maturity. Women instantly pick up on it. They sense that you've outgrown the need to prove yourself. You've moved past the impulsive energy of youth, where men compete for validation, and into a state of centered assurance, a place where your self-worth doesn't rely on anyone's reaction. You've probably noticed it yourself. Younger men often fill silence with noise, bragging or posturing to gain attention. But you've learned that silence is seductive. That eye contact, when held with composure, can say more than 1,000 words. This calm doesn't come from arrogance, it comes from experience, from years of wins, losses, mistakes, and lessons that taught you exactly who you are and what you stand for. That's why people trust you without you having to demand it. It's why younger women feel safe around you and older women find you mysteriously magnetic. Because your energy tells them, I've been through storms, and I don't flinch anymore. Psychologists call this state low reactivity. It's the ability to remain emotionally stable under pressure. In relationships, this trait is deeply attractive because it signals emotional intelligence and reliability, 2 qualities women subconsciously crave but rarely find. You've become the man who doesn't chase chaos. You create calm in it. The man who doesn't try to be the loudest but ends up being the most listened to. The man who doesn't demand respect, yet receives it naturally. That's mature masculine energy, and it's rare. When you radiate this kind of confidence, you don't need validation. You are validation. Every gesture, every pause, every decision reflects a man who knows himself. And in a world full of noise, that kind of quiet strength is pure magnetism. 2, you don't chase, you choose emotional abundance and selective energy. A truly attractive older man has mastered one of the hardest lessons in life: the difference between desire and desperation. You no longer chase attention, approval, or affection like you did in your 20s. You've learned that chasing makes you forget your worth, and that the more you run toward validation, the further it gets. Instead, you've stepped into the mindset of a man who chooses. You choose where your time goes, who earns your focus, and what energy you allow into your life. That's what makes you stand out. Your selectiveness has become your sex appeal. Psychologically, this trait is rooted in emotional abundance. You no longer operate from scarcity, the fear of losing someone, the need to be liked, or the anxiety of being alone. You've realized that solitude isn't loneliness, it's power. That the man who can stand alone can walk into any room and not feel the need to perform. Women sense this immediately. Your energy doesn't scream, please notice me. It calmly says, I'm already whole. And that triggers deep attraction because it flips the dynamic. Instead of seeking validation, you give it through your attention, and that makes it infinitely more valuable. You've also developed discernment, the ability to see through surface level charm, manipulation, or neediness. You don't fall for drama or false intimacy. You've learned that peace is more seductive than chaos. And this maturity changes everything about how people respond to you. Women realize they can't control or emotionally trap you because you're not hooked on external approval. You operate from a place of inner security, and that's what gives your presence weight. In behavioral psychology, this is called detached confidence. It's not about being cold or uninterested. It's about having your self-worth rooted so deeply within that external validation barely touches it. You've built your kingdom and you don't open the gates for just anyone. You know what you want and you're not afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve you. That's power. That's rare. And that's why people chase you now, because your energy tells the world one undeniable truth. You no longer seek to be chosen. You are the one who chooses. 3, you have emotional control, the mark of true masculinity. Another undeniable sign of a highly attractive older man is your mastery over emotions. You've learned how to stay composed when life throws its punches. You don't explode in anger, break down over rejection, or let insecurity dictate your words. You've built the kind of inner discipline that only comes from years of falling, failing, and learning that emotional chaos solves nothing. Psychologists refer to this as emotional regulation, the ability to experience powerful feelings without being ruled by them. And it's one of the most attractive traits any man can possess. Because while most people react, you respond. You think before you speak. You process before you act. You've reached that rare level of calm that makes others feel grounded just by being near you. Women, especially, find this irresistible. Emotional control doesn't mean you're cold or detached, it means you're safe. You're the kind of man who won't lose control, who can be trusted in moments of tension or stress. You've replaced impulsiveness with intention, and that's what separates boys from men. While younger men often let jealousy, anger, or insecurity drive their behavior, you've realized that true power lies in restraint. You don't need to shout to be heard or threaten to be respected. Your tone alone, calm yet firm, carries more authority than any display of rage ever could. From a psychological standpoint, emotional control signals high emotional intelligence, EQ. It tells others you've mastered yourself, your mind, your moods, your reactions. And when you've mastered yourself, you become magnetic because people unconsciously crave stability. They're drawn to those who stay calm in chaos. Your presence feels like a safe harbor in a storm. You've become the man who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't beg for closure, who doesn't drown in drama. You simply observe, adapt, and move forward. This kind of control doesn't suppress emotion, it channels it. You've learned how to use emotion as fuel, not as fire. Anger becomes focus. Pain becomes growth. Loss becomes wisdom. And that transformation radiates through every part of you. The way you carry yourself, the way you handle others, the way you lead. You've become emotionally unshakable. And that, more than anything, is what makes you irresistibly attractive. 4, you command presence without words, the aura of authority and mystery. When you walk into a room, you don't need to announce yourself. You don't need loud laughter, flashy clothes, or over-the-top gestures. Your presence alone does the talking. That quiet, grounded aura you carry, it's magnetic. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You've lived enough life to understand that real power doesn't need to prove itself. You stand tall, move slowly, and speak deliberately. Every movement signals that you're a man who knows his value, and that kind of nonverbal dominance is rare in a world obsessed with noise. Psychologists call this paralinguistic attraction, the ability to draw attention through tone, posture, and calm energy rather than words. It's the subtle difference between being noticed and being remembered. You've probably seen it in others before, that man who barely says a word but somehow controls the entire room. That's you now. It's in your eye contact. Steady, unflinching, confident but never aggressive. It's in your posture. Shoulders relaxed yet upright, every gesture economical and intentional. It's in your silence, the kind that makes others lean in instead of tune out. And here's the truth. Silence, when paired with composure, creates mystery. Mystery fuels attraction, because people are wired to chase what they can't easily define. You've mastered the art of being intriguing without trying. Women, especially, feel this energy deeply. They notice how you listen, fully, without checking your phone or rushing to reply. They notice how your body language conveys security. No fidgeting, no fake smiles, no forced charm. You don't fill space to avoid discomfort. You allow silence to work for you. That's the difference between a man seeking attention and a man who commands it. Your stillness becomes your statement. Your restraint becomes your roar. From a psychological perspective, this signals self assured dominance, the quiet kind that doesn't need validation. People subconsciously sense when someone has emotional control, life experience, and confidence rooted in authenticity. That's why others listen when you speak, even if you say very little. You've become the embodiment of earned respect. Your aura doesn't shout, it whispers power. And that whisper echoes longer than any scream ever could. 5. You embrace purpose over pleasure, the discipline that defines desire. Another unmistakable sign of a highly attractive older man is your clarity of purpose. You've reached the stage where pleasure no longer controls you. You control it. The parties, the attention, the validation, the meaningless pursuits, they no longer give you the same thrill they once did. You've outgrown the chase for temporary highs. Instead, you're driven by something deeper: direction. Psychologically, this shift from instant gratification to long term fulfillment marks the transition from external motivation to intrinsic mastery, the stage where your actions align with values, not impulses. And that makes you incredibly magnetic. Because while most people chase dopamine, you chase meaning. Women feel that difference immediately. You're not texting them out of boredom, you're building something. And your focus shows it. Your discipline becomes part of your allure. The way you wake up with purpose, set boundaries, and move through life with intention makes people respect you before they even realize why. You've learned that control over your desires doesn't kill attraction, it amplifies it. It's the psychological equivalent of a man who has trained his instincts to serve his vision. You don't get distracted easily, and that restraint, that focus, is intoxicating. In behavioral psychology, this is tied to delayed gratification, one of the most reliable indicators of long term success and confidence. The ability to say no to short term comfort for the sake of long term value radiates power. It tells the world that you are not ruled by craving, you are ruled by commitment. You've realized that chasing every thrill dilutes your energy, while discipline compounds it. You conserve your strength for what truly matters: your mission, your health, your peace, and the few people who genuinely add value to your life. This mindset is what separates ordinary men from extraordinary ones. You've shifted from being a consumer of pleasure to a creator of purpose. That energy, grounded, directed, unshakable, is what makes others orbit around you. Because purpose is rare. And in a world addicted to distraction, the man who moves with intention becomes a gravitational force. You've become that man, the one who doesn't need to be entertained because he's too busy evolving. And nothing is more attractive than that. 6. You exude stability in a world that's falling apart, the rock everyone leans on. One of the clearest signs that you've evolved into a truly attractive older man is your stability: mental, emotional, and even spiritual. While others are still riding the roller coaster of chaos, you've become the steady foundation everyone else leans on. You've lived through enough storms to know that panic changes nothing. When everything around you feels uncertain, your calm becomes a kind of quiet leadership. That's the essence of mature masculine energy, being the rock when the world shakes. Psychologically, this is linked to what experts call secure attachment, a state of emotional maturity where you're confident in yourself, grounded in your identity, and no longer swayed by the fear of loss or rejection. You've become the man who brings order to disorder, peace to panic, and clarity to confusion. People feel it when they're around you: the way you handle problems without drama, the way you stay composed when others spiral, the way your voice stays calm even when tensions rise. These things communicate strength far more than any boast or flex ever could. Women find this deeply attractive because it signals safety. Not physical safety, but emotional security. You're not volatile. You're not unpredictable. You've built yourself into someone who can be trusted, relied on, and respected. In a society full of emotional instability and fragile egos, that kind of steadiness feels like a superpower. And this stability didn't come easy. It was forged through years of chaos, heartbreak, and self-discipline. You've learned to be at peace with solitude. You've learned how to let go of things that don't align with your peace. You've learned that protecting your energy is not selfish. It's essential. Now, instead of reacting to life, you respond to it with wisdom. You've become the calm in the storm, not because you've avoided the rain, but because you've learned to dance in it. From a psychological point of view, stability signals emotional leadership, the ability to influence others through grounded presence rather than force. It's what makes people naturally trust you, follow you, and even fall for you. Because while the world is filled with noise, anxiety, and uncertainty, you've become something rare. A man who anchors others just by being himself. And that right there is irresistible. 7. You've made peace with yourself, the freedom that radiates from within. The final sign that you've stepped into the realm of mature masculine attraction is simple, yet rare. You're at peace with yourself. You no longer wake up trying to be someone else. You've stopped apologizing for your past, stopped comparing your journey to others, and stopped living life on borrowed expectations. That inner stillness, that quiet acceptance of who you are, what you've done, and where you're going, is what makes you magnetic. It's not the car, the career, or the body. It's the energy of contentment. Psychologically, this is called self-congruence. When your inner beliefs and your outer actions align perfectly, you don't pretend anymore, you just are. Women notice it immediately. You're not trying to impress them, not competing with younger men, not chasing validation. You radiate the rare energy of a man who has nothing to prove and everything to protect. Your peace becomes your presence. It's in the way you walk, speak, laugh, and even pause. You've accepted that life isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. You know who you are, you know what matters, and that clarity makes your every move feel deliberate. That's why people are drawn to you, because inner peace in a chaotic world feels like luxury. From a psychological lens, this is the stage of self-actualization, the highest level of emotional evolution. As defined by Maslow, it's where a man stops chasing external measures of worth and starts living by internal truth. You're no longer trying to fill a void. You've built something inside that no one can take away. You've learned that solitude isn't punishment, it's reflection. That aging isn't loss, it's refinement. You've made peace with time, with your past, and with your imperfections. And that's what gives your presence weight. People who meet you can feel it without understanding it. You make them feel safe, inspired, and strangely calm. Not because you figured everything out, but because you've accepted that you don't have to. You've stopped running from yourself, and that makes your energy magnetic. You've become the man every younger version of you wished to be, grounded, wise, and at peace. And that peace, that effortless balance between strength and serenity, is the ultimate mark of a truly attractive older man. The power of becoming, not chasing. At this stage in your life, attraction isn't something you try to create. It's something you become. You've outgrown the noise, the games, the desperate need to be seen. You've learned that true masculinity doesn't shout, it resonates. It's not about youth, looks, or status. It's about presence, purpose, and peace. You've turned your scars into wisdom, your mistakes into lessons, and your silence into strength. That's what separates the older man who simply ages from the man who ascends. You've realized that women aren't drawn to perfection. They're drawn to the man who has lived, fallen, risen, and still stands with calm certainty. You're no longer chasing validation because you've discovered something infinitely stronger: self-respect. You've built your life on discipline, clarity, and peace, and that foundation makes you immovable. You've become the storm and the shelter at the same time. Oh, unpredictable yet safe, dangerous yet dependable. That duality is what makes you magnetic. You don't need to prove your worth anymore because everything about you, your tone, your energy, your walk, already proves it. Psychologically, this is what's called authentic dominance, the point where power meets peace. You've stopped performing masculinity and started embodying it. The world can feel it. People sense that your confidence isn't noise, it's depth. Your energy doesn't beg for attention, it commands it. And your age, it doesn't limit you, I think it refines you. Because time doesn't take away a man's value, it reveals it. So remember this: you don't have to chase attraction, you only have to embody it. Every lesson, every heartbreak, every victory carved you into something rarer than youth, a man who truly knows himself. That's the kind of energy that doesn't fade with age. It grows, it deepens, it lasts. You're not just an older man now, you're the definition of what every younger man secretly hopes to become: mature, magnetic, unshakable, And finally, free.